Detective Marcus Chun thought he'd seen everything during his 5 years with the Galactic Enforcement Division. He'd chased smugglers through asteroid fields, negotiated with three-headed diplomats, and once arrested a sentient gas cloud for tax evasion. But nothing had prepared him for his new partner. "Chun, meet Zixdara," Commander Harrison said, gesturing to the tall, iridescent figure beside his desk. "She's from the Veltari home world, top of her class at the academy." Marcus extended his hand in the universal greeting gesture, noting how Zixdara's crystalline scales shifted from deep purple to bright orange as she shook it. Her grip was firm, almost crushing, and he tried not to wince. "Please, call me Zix," she said, her voice carrying a melodic quality that seemed to resonate in his chest. "I look forward to working with a human. Your species has quite the reputation." "Oh, good, I hope," Marcus replied with a nervous chuckle. Oh yes, Zix's scales rippled with what he assumed was amusement. "Very impressive physical capabilities." Commander Harrison cleared his throat. "Right, well, you two get acquainted. There's a weapons smuggling ring operating out of Sector 7, your first case together." As they walked to their shared office, Marcus couldn't help but notice how. Other officers stared at Zix. Some looked fascinated, others seemed nervous, and a few actually backed away. When he asked about it, she simply said her people were misunderstood. The first week went smoothly enough. Zix proved to be an excellent detective, with keen observational skills and an uncanny ability to read suspects. Her only quirk seemed to be an obsession with the office thermostat, constantly adjusting it to higher temperatures. "Sorry," she'd say each time, scales flushing a deeper red. "My people prefer warmth." Marcus didn't mind. After years of working alone, having a competent partner was refreshing, even if she did have an odd habit of stretching in ways that seemed anatomically impossible and occasionally made strange, purring sounds when concentrating. Everything changed. On a Tuesday morning in their second week together, Marcus arrived at the office to find Zix standing perfectly still in the center of the room. Her scales now a brilliant crimson that seemed to pulse with its own light. The air felt thick and humid, despite the air conditioning running at full blast. "Morning, Zix," he said, hanging up his jacket. "Ready to track down those weapons dealers?" She turned toward him slowly, and Marcus felt his breath catch. Her usually bright yellow eyes had darkened to a deep amber, and something about her posture seemed different, more predatory, more intense. "Marcus," she said, her voice lower and somehow more resonant than usual, "you smell different today, stronger." "Different? Different? I use the same soap as always." He unconsciously took a step back as she began moving toward him with fluid, deliberate steps. "The humans in the briefing room," she continued, tilting her head at an angle that would have broken a human neck. "They mentioned something about your species' mating rituals, how you compete for dominance." "Are what now?" Marcus's voice cracked. Slightly, Zix's scales began shifting through a rapid spectrum of colors, red to orange to a brilliant gold. "They said human males demonstrate their worthiness through displays of strength and endurance. I find this intriguing." The office door burst open, and Lieutenant Torres rushed in, took one look at the scene, and immediately began backing. "Out? Nope, nope," Torres muttered. "Nobody told me she was cycling. I'm not dealing with a Veltari in heat." "In what?" Marcus called after him, but Torres was already gone. "Heat is such a crude term," Zix said, now close enough that Marcus could feel the warmth radiating from her scales. "We prefer the awakening of desire. It only happens once every few Earth years." And nobody thought to mention this during orientation. Why would they? It's a natural biological process. She reached out and placed a scaled hand on his chest, her touch surprisingly warm. "Your heartbeat is elevated. Are you preparing for the courtship challenges?" "The what challenges?" "Among my people, potential mates must prove their worth through contests of skill and strength. I've been researching human customs." Her eyes gleamed. "I believe you call it Netflix and chill?" Marcus nearly choked. That's not what that means in this context. No? Then perhaps we should engage in the traditional human bonding. Ritual of consuming fermented beverages and engaging in combat sports? Zix, I think there's been a misunderstanding. Or, she interrupted, her scales now cycling through colors so rapidly they were becoming hypnotic. We could skip directly to the part where you demonstrate your superior human endurance. The office phone rang, saving Marcus from having to respond. He lunged for it like a lifeline. Chun here. Marcus, it's Commander Harrison. I need you and Zix to. Why does it sound like a rainforest in there? Marcus looked around and realized Zix had somehow adjusted the environmental controls to create a humid, jungle-like atmosphere, complete with the sound of trickling water. It's complicated, sir. Well, uncomplicated. We've got a situation at the spaceport. Weapons dealers are making their move. On our way, Marcus said, then turned to his partner. Zix, we have a case. Her scales immediately shifted to a cooler blue-green, and her posture became more professional. Of course. Duty first. As they headed for the door, she paused and looked back at him. But Marcus, when we return, we really should discuss your courtship intentions. My cycle lasts for another 3 weeks. Marcus stared after her as she strode confidently down the hallway, her scales still carrying hints of that mesmerizing gold. He pulled out his communicator and dialed Torres. Torres, I need a favor. Can you research Veltari mating customs? And maybe find me a very good xenobiologist? Already on it, buddy. And Marcus? Good luck. You're gonna need it. As Marcus hurried to catch up with his partner, he couldn't help but think that chasing weapons smugglers through a space station was going to be the easy part of his day. Behind him, the office thermostat quietly reset itself to a comfortable 98 degrees Fahrenheit.